Hi, everybody. This is Bernadette. Hi, Ivana.
Hi, Bernadette. Thank you for having me here today.
Oh, it's so much fun. These are the Fridays. I'm really looking forward to it because, we are just here. It's Friday. You sit with your wine and wait for the weekend to come. So that's always fun to me. So how are you doing? What's on your table? Are you doing fine?
Yeah, things are busy. Have a jam-packed day. Unfortunately, I don't have wine at the table right now. I have coffee and orange juice because my day's just starting in Vancouver here. But yeah, just a busy day. And how about you?
Well, of course, we are in Barcelona, so we are at the end of the day, and I have to say that I'm very looking forward to my weekend because it was a crazy weekend, and I'm gonna start with having a dinner on the beach a little bit later today. So, I'm very happy. No, but we are very busy because this is October. Like everybody knows, this is October, and in October we always have a very important job to do, and that's to look at the trends of 2023. And we do this because there is so much going on nowadays. We do it every year, though. I mean, but in 2016, 2017, not much was happening. You always look at the trends, but now, like the whole world is going to be different. It's crazy, and we are working for a report who are on the market, and one of our favorite reports is from trendhunter.com, and so they have like a top 20 of changes. And they are big. It's amazing. So what I would like to do is also, because these changes have something to do, maybe you have for your staff, maybe you have to look at the marketing, maybe you have to look at the packaging, the product, the service. There was a lot of changing. Some examples you already know. COVID was there. Sustainability. I mean, everything have to be sustainable these days. Robots. NFT art, Millennium C. I really like that because that will be fun for me. Millennium Move. All people want to go now these days. They want to go around the world and work wherever they want. So, yeah, I think that's a great time, right? Did you want to do that? Go around the world and just work wherever you
100%. That's
Really?
exactly my goal. That's exactly my goal. Be able to eventually move down to Europe and to be able to travel around and have a job where I can have the flexibility to just work wherever and still be able to remain focused on doing really well and progressing. But yes, in line with like what you're mentioning too, with the trends that are happening for 2023, it's also, I would love to even talk about, the things that have happened in the last few years that have escalated to the trends that are now going to be occurring as a result of the last few years that we've had under COVID. Yeah, just lots of different things. It's interesting because with the, going remote and people really wanting more flexibility in their life and working. I don't know if you heard of it, but did you hear of quiet quitting? That was a huge trend. It was like a hashtag. It was all over social media.
Fakely, but I thought that it has to do with people losing their job because of COVID. Is that it? Is that what you mean?
No, no. Quiet quitting. It became international. Actually, it was a very sensational time. So, do you know Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. So he actually even made an advertisement where he went online and he said, for the quiet quitters, you don't work for me. He's like, this. He's like, if you want to clock out at 5 p.m., you don't work for me. He's like, quiet quitters.
I mean, I love it. As you know, we have to work. I have to work for the travel for the work a lot of times. So I go a few times a year, and I remember last year I was in Costa Rica, and you get so used to work wherever you please. But I was amazed because I don't know. I thought, is it true that there is Wi-Fi everywhere? I love to work in the jungle, and I was in the jungle in the Amazon. I was sitting there. I even have it on pictures with my Apple computer. And I was just working, and you just literally see two monkeys on the railing in the back.
That's
And there
amazing.
was this big bird, and I was just talking and talking. I mean, of course, you have this nice picture. You can work
Yeah,
everywhere. You can work everywhere.
yeah.
But I love it. But as an entrepreneur, and I have to say that's something changing for your staff. I know a lot of entrepreneurs here will recognize this because we have a new generation C. We have the millennium move. We had COVID. Everybody wants something else. But now you have a company of 10, 20, 15 people, and they all want to work remote. How,
Mhm.
how do you manage that? How, and also in the beginning, I think last year, I was looking how I could manage that for my company because I'm in media. It's very easy to work wherever you please. And so I had to find a company who's taking care of salary or whatever people making. And I find only one company, which looked interesting for me. And to be honest, this week, I thought I'm gonna check it out. If there are more companies who can help us with staffing around the world. There were like 50 companies. I was like, where
Oh,
is it
wow.
coming from? I cannot, it's
Yeah,
amazing. It's
it's
so
amazing
fast.
how, yeah, so fast. It's amazing how quickly companies can shift, and
Yeah,
also how just entrepreneurs and businesses pick up very quickly with changing times. It's actually very fascinating too,
yeah,
and there are still companies that are trying to lure people back into the workplace, and so there's all sorts of like incentives in terms of bonuses and other things that they're providing for workers to actually get them back into the office because it's become such
yeah,
a
yeah.
big
I
big
actually
movement.
I actually talked to a company. There's another topic like sustainability, carbon neutral, et cetera, et cetera. Now I understand that everybody think that's important. I think there's nobody who thinks that not important. But I talked to somebody who is in the makeup business and the gels, et cetera. Beautiful, beautiful
Mhm.
brand. As he said, not only do I have to change all my products because people are not just don't want to buy it anymore. I was actually amazed. Maybe I'm still buying the wrong stuff, but I thought, oh, okay, I just buy whatever I always use. But she said there are actually people who don't want to work for me. Young people these days, they say, "Oh, this product is not carbon neutral or sustainable."
Oh,
And she,
really? Wow.
no, and then they just don't want to work for her.
Yeah, yeah,
That's ridiculous. I did go so far, really.
definitely. You know what? And that's so true. And I think it's also about the generation of the employees that she's finding as well. Another thing that's really happened, and I'm seeing that within my role with digital
Yeah,
advertising,
sales.
and yes, in sales. And you see that there's a lot of businesses that are popping up. So now that people were at home, they were out of a job, they were furloughed, a lot of them, they started to, I'm going to do my own business. I'm going to create my own things. A lot of websites coming up and people even coming up with their own products. And it's become, that's a huge trend as well. So now it's like so many
Yeah,
products competing with one another. So I
yeah.
think that it's two parts to it. Maybe now competition grew tremendously, and now she's in the marketplace. There's a lot more to choose from of new products that are emerging as
I
well.
think so, but I do also believe that especially young people. Now, I have a son who is, I can, he is
Mhm.
in the 25, so or 24. So, and so I talk to a lot to young people, and I think they are talking about it very easily. Like, oh, I never go on a payroll, and I'm like, oh, what do you mean you never go on a payroll? And no, no, no way. And they just quit and they just, travel and make pictures, etc., etc. I do know a lot of influencers, also very young, and I know that being pretty only is not enough anymore. You have to do a lot of marketing too. But yeah, I think also with the sales, what you said, because I'm going to a lot of these events, and one of the trends actually is that a lot of brands now are not going to live events anymore. They just want to do their own promotion. I had my last podcast, with Iria, who's the owner of Lace Copperwood. You have to listen to that podcast. But she's a young designer, and she's just doing her own promotion, doing her own everything she can do herself because that's the way they promote themselves, and that's nice because it's also that now the big brands understand something is changing. If we want to have these young people, these young designers on the runway, they're not getting there. they're going to do their own promotion. And now I could even digital, invitations for digital runways. And they are big brands. Chanel, Ralph Lauren, they are big names. They are
Yeah,
just, I'm afraid that nobody's going to have face-to-face meetings anymore. You're just
I know.
talking to a
It's a little
computer every
scary.
day.
It is really scary. And I was also looking at, in terms of like, even with relationships and how it is now doing everything over Zoom or over other platforms, and digitally, is that before it was really about relationships and relationship building, whereas now it's like, well, how is your digital demo presentation? Do you have a good
Yeah,
digital demo
yeah,
presentation? And it's like looking at, what was it also? There was digital presentation, and just prospecting. Your prospecting has to really improve. There's a huge shift because prospecting during COVID became such an
yeah.
issue then for companies. So it's also changing the dynamic of
It is.
how that
And I also
is. Yeah.
think that's hard for sales because, I go to a lot of boat shows, for example. I'm going to one this weekend again. And it's the vibe being there, it's the whole atmosphere, music, people outside. It's always, of course, this
Yeah.
postcard with the beautiful weather and the boats, et cetera, et cetera. And that's
Mhm.
part of the sales process. If you don't have that, you have to have that. You have to give your client the feeling through the computer, which is
Yeah.
very difficult, I think, which is very
It can.
difficult.
Yeah, the connection can get lost, and the rapport. It can be difficult to build that rapport. It's not as natural of an engagement when
No,
it's over
no.
the computer. Yeah, unless you build that rapport. And actually interesting because like what you're saying too, and being at those events and just the energy from it and it being live. So it was the CEO of Hulu who. Hulu, of course. He actually used to work for, I think it was Google. He was saying they had a thing that they called, it was casual collisions or serendipity. And this is the reason why they termed it this is that while they were working there, they realized that people, as they would interact with one another at the workplace, and they would bump into each other, start talking, start discussing the different things that they're doing, start working on projects together. It really sparked innovation within the company.
Yeah,
And it was tremendous in terms of like how, those kind of small interactions could
right.
lead to such, new innovation. Like I find it fascinating. So it's like that's also been missing,
It
where
is.
it's
Yeah,
not
it
that
is.
spontaneity. Yeah.
It is sad, to be honest. And I find myself also on these events now suddenly I want to talk to everybody. It's like living on a cave, and like finally I can get out and I can talk real life. And I enjoy
Yeah.
it so much. So I can admit, but I have to say, in this whole report from TrendHunter.com, I was just looking at the trends of 2023, and then they find there is such a trend in healthcare apps. For example, people are looking in much more in healthcare apps. Probably there is a need. Support groups, which is also a big one. And a lot of them are about mental health, which is kind of scary. I think, wow, that's sad. I
It
mean,
is.
then you are talking to a computer and you have your app for your mental health. Oh my
Yeah,
God, that's kind of sad.
it
But
is.
what I wanted to also on the line, especially for lots of these readers, these listeners, they have like their own companies, they have their own staff. There might be a change really in the way you do business now, in your service you're providing, but also how you approach your target group. Some of the target groups are really changing, not only the young people, but also older people or traditional companies suddenly are looking for something else. The future is very uncertain, or they are looking now for other financial service because a long time ago they want to take that risk, but
Definitely.
now they want to be
Definitely.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like now it's like innovation is and just with everything that's happened, the need for innovation is much more dramatic and it's shifting a lot faster.
yeah,
And that does cause uncertainty in what's going to happen in the marketplace and how will jobs be and how will human interaction be. There's
yeah,
so many things that are, I feel like, still undefined, but I feel like, just with everything that we're discussing, it's interesting to know just how quickly companies and or new businesses have come up to adapt to that change too. even though
For
it's been
example,
such a
I
drastic
think
thing.
if you see now, for example, the NFT art, the NFTs,
Mhm.
that's something you have to be interested in or not. It's to me, it's very abstract, and I don't like reading about it. But for example, the crypto market, I see a lot of ads. Come to a crypto market, etc., etc. I can imagine some people find it very interesting and read a lot about it and want to go that way. But I also think there is a lot of groups who say, you know what, I'm going to pass. I'm going to do it more maybe in the traditional way, but it's good that you have choices. It's good to know that it's there, and make that choice instead of just being blind for all the new trends, and be too late in a year, because that's really good possible, I think. To be honest, I'm actually was last week. I was in the car, new car, and we also need a new car. And I thought, you know what? I'm also kind of sad with everything what's disappearing. I'm still crying about video stores who are gone. It's fun. Go to the video store.
I loved going to the video store. Oh my gosh, that's so many good memories.
I know, but the MP3 player, the Walkman, the Discman, it was such a good time. And now I have a stick. I only have a stick. I have a new car. I only have a stick, and I put Spotify on. And I'm like, I don't know. It's not the same. A stick for Spotify. It's not the same, So I don't know. I'm getting old, but but I do like the new generation being very creative. I love the creative part of them. They are much more creative than people before them, and I also like it that they are going around the world, going wild. I think if everybody is traveling, then there is the chance of having peace all over the world is much bigger, because you make friends everywhere. So that's something I always like. If people all going all over the world, all going travel, I think it's good for the world, to be honest.
I think so too. I think
Maybe
so as well.
with the plane, but you meet a lot of people. That's
yeah, definitely.
So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to make our own report about what we have to adjust next year in the services, in the packaging, in the product, in the marketing, in the staffing. But hey, anybody who have a very, very nice example of changing trends and how you have to adjust with your company, or even if you have to disappear because the world is changing, we would love to hear your story. And so please write us, get in touch. Our email is podcast@EuropeanLifeMedia.com. We would love to hear your story, and we will definitely talk about it and see if we can have more of these examples. So, and if necessary, we get a lot of professionals on this podcast, and we help you. We're going to help the whole world in all these crazy trends going on in 2023. So. Excellent. It was fun again, Ivana, and I think we have so much topics to talk about, but it's weekend. So for everybody, get in touch with us. Again, podcast@EuropeanLifeMedia.com, and get back to us next time. Join us. We have some great new people coming up to interview, and and Ivana and I will be back soon. We're gonna.
It was fun.
Switching. Yeah, it's fun. So if you have any questions to us, or if you have any questions about doing business or trends or investing, send us an email and we take care of it. We're going to get back to you and we take care, you get the answer. So for everybody, have a great weekend. And Ivana, talk to you soon.
Bye. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening today. Please subscribe and share this podcast. Do you have a question or a story to share? Please find us at podcast@EuropeanLifeMedia.com.